an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering WestWorld, Season 3, Episode 4, The Mother of Exiles. In this episode, it turns out that Delores is indeed living the dream by sending herself out to do the work right the first time. I'm simultaneously so proud and so afraid. Welcome to Unspoiled.
And you're jealous, admit it.
I'm so jealous. How, genuinely, how great would it be if you own a business to just be able to employ multiple versions of yourself? And that's all you do. I can't think of a better scenario.
In reality, I think this is not a good idea because whatever strengths you have would be multiplied, but also so would your weaknesses.
What weaknesses? Name a weakness.
Oh.
Go ahead, Rashawn. Name
Overscheduling.
one.
Overscheduling.
That wouldn't be a problem anymore because I have multiples of myself.
No, it would be, but each of you would overschedule. It would be even worse because there were more of you. Tell me I'm wrong.
How fucked up am I that even with multiples of myself, I cannot deny overscheduling would still be a fucking problem. That's really messed up. What is the matter with me? Rashawn, why did you have to point me out to myself? I hate this. Fuck. All right. Anyway.
That's my bad.
So, yeah, this episode, though, is, jam-packed with information and shit. I was really shocked at how quickly things move along here. Mm-hmm. And I've mentioned before that I've started, watching the show on the treadmill at the gym because I have certain days where I have to get in a ton of steps, and that, when it's this hot, is, the best option. Ooh. And I had thought at first that might, do a disservice to whatever it is that I'm watching. But I've discovered that I inadvertently pick my phone up so much when I'm watching something on television that when I'm watching it on my phone and cannot pick up my phone to do a different thing and instead just have to walk on the treadmill, I pay more attention than otherwise. And the one good thing about that is when the show is really good, it makes that hour that I have to stay walking on a treadmill, which is the most boring version of walking, go by pretty quickly. And I was really shocked when I realized that we were 40 minutes into the episode and I had to pee for 20 minutes of that 40 minutes and hadn't even considered stopping the treadmill to go pee as an excuse to just stop walking on the treadmill, which I would like to reiterate is the worst thing. So, yeah, things just it's just boom, boom, boom. We just jump from one action sequence to another so quickly.
There's a lot.
A lot. All right, so we start off this episode with fucking William, Black William, as he's called. He is losing his goddamn mind.
He is not in a good place mentally or emotionally. It's a bit of a mess.
Can I tell you how fucking, like, again, when you're on the treadmill and there are moments where you want to cheer or you're laughing, it's really weird to just be doing that all by yourself and know that not a soul there knows what you're laughing at. But when he says to Charlotte, when she's like, I didn't know that you could pull yourself together that well, and he says, I never fell apart, I just wanted to, like, laugh in his face and slap and shake him. Like, you know that she saw you, right? You remember that part where she
like,
walked in on you drunk, barefoot, in a pile of broken glass with clothes you hadn't changed in, like, what looks like a couple weeks.
You want to be like, it wasn't even that long ago.
Right.
It was like 2 hours ago.
Prime gaslighting. We fucking saw you, guy. It's fine. We know what happened. Shut up. Ugh. Disgusted. So, yeah, he is yelling, I know you're not fucking real, and shooting at his own reflection, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, you're in his head, and he's, like, seeing Delores, and he's seeing his daughter, and then you're like, was he shooting at himself, or was he shooting at somebody that he thought was there? Or was he just shooting?
Yeah. He's having all kinds of what look like hallucinations, right? Like, at one moment, he feels like there's blood dripping on his face, but then it's water, and then, like, the ceiling crashes, and then he wakes up in the overflowing tub, you know, which is a callback to his wife having, you know, killed herself in the tub.
Oh, I forgot about that. Right.
Yeah, and, you know, and he's flashing back to these scenes with Delores and yelling at his daughter, who is this, like, ghost, you know, that is haunting him. And he's arguing with the ghost that he didn't kill her, that he didn't know it was her, or that he did know it was her, and he was never fooled. You know, it's just like he's all over the place.
I love her acting in this scene, too, because it starts off with her kind of, like, mocking him, like, you know, this really doesn't look good, dude. And then him, like, yelling at her that he knows she's not real and to get out of his face. And she says, oh, what are you going to do? Shoot me again? And then suddenly transitions to genuine pleading and sobbing.
Just like from the moment when he actually killed her, like reenacting that, you know, like with the same fear. It's like a switch, right? And all of a sudden her face is exactly back into that day in the woods. And then she's back though. Then she like turns the switch off, and she's it's a lot.
It's a lot. And he says, I thought you weren't real. And she says, just like you think I'm not real now, right? And walks around him and says, how can you ever be sure? And he says, I'm in control. I am always in control. And she's like, Thor face, are you?
I love she's like, you know, you can't be both. Either, you know, you're blameless and you were a victim and you didn't have any choice, or you were in control and you made a choice and you murdered me. Like, which one is it?
And I love that his reaction eventually is, of course, to say that he made a choice, because that grants him permission to then take control now and banish her. Because, of course, any choice that he can lay claim to that then allows him to take control again is the choice that he is going to make. Like, don't get it twisted. Control is literally what this man's entire personality is about. So it makes total sense that as much as he wants to deny what he did, in the end, he knows it's to his benefit to take responsibility for it, and that's really, in my opinion, the only reason he does it. I don't think it has anything to do with atoning or trying to own it or anything like that. I think it's just him. Right
before he banishes her, she says something like, finish the job. And rolls up his sleeve and hands him like a shard of mirror or glass.
Yeah.
To like dig into his arm, and I'm assuming, just to end his life.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this tense moment where like he sits down and he takes it,
mm-hmm.
and you really think he's about to do it, and he's got it. Like it looks like he's about to do it, and Charlotte walks in.
I thought that it was looking like it was him killing himself, but that what it really was he's trying to find the thingy in his arm.
Right. That's what. Yeah. Like, because that's what he had been doing in the park.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that he was doing that in the park already. Shit.
Yeah. So when she hands it to him, she's just like, finished the job, and it could be like a little bit of both, right?
Yeah.
Like, but Charlotte walks in and interrupts this fucking whatever this is,
mm-hmm.
and brings him up to speed about what's going on in the real world.
And I really love that, despite the fact that I know Charlotte is a host, there was definitely a moment where I believed why she was here anyway. Despite the fact that I could easily have been like, oh no, this isn't what it looks like. Charlotte's a host and she's up to something. I really wholeheartedly buy the reasoning behind, like, the motivation that host Charlotte has to keep the company private. So her whole, line here about how she needs his votes and to come to the emergency shareholder meeting and the whole thing, it all was still totally believable to me, even though I know nothing is what it looks like anymore. And I should have seen coming that she had another play in mind. But part of me was just kind of like, I mean, this would still work.
Yeah, it sounds reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Because what she's giving him are just enough tidbits of the truth of what the audience has seen of the show. Like, we know
mm-hmm.
that there really is somebody trying to take over the job, right?
Right.
We know that Sirach is real, and she tells William that, this guy Sirach is coming to try to take over the company, that he wants the data from the project, the secret project.
Right.
And that's true. That's also true. So she is... It's not like she's lying to him. So much as misrepresenting what she needs from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's misrepresenting the the control that he has in this situation, because it's another moment of him. He goes from, oh, let him take it over, who fucking cares anymore,
mm-hmm.
to her having, she sort of manages to convince him to still be invested in the company, honestly.
Yeah, what she does is, because she says to him, if he gets the data from the project that they were not supposed to be doing, first of all,
mm-hmm.
she says, if he gets that information, you're going to have more to worry about than bad hygiene. So, like, that reminder of what's at stake is what finally snaps him back into being like, oh, okay, I better take this seriously, man. I guess I better go take a shower and shave.
Yeah. Oh, man, that shaving scene. She's all like, let me. And honestly, my response was, why? Why let her? But
you've seen The Color Purple, right?
Yes, that definitely was on my mind.
That scene, you guys, if you have not seen The Color Purple, I need you to get your whole life. It is 2020, and there is no excuse. But that scene where Celie is cutting Mr. shaving his beard, and she has just found out about the letters. Ooh, child. Suge has to come running to save her because she's about to slit his fucking throat.
I need to watch it again as an adult, because I haven't seen it since I was young.
Oh, I love that movie so much. You absolutely should watch it again. It's such a beautiful, beautiful movie.
I was so upset by it as a kid. That I just kind of like put it in the category of like movie I will never watch again, because it just makes me upset.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Definitely watch it.
All right.
And you guys out there, too, if you haven't seen it in a long time, if you've never seen it or you haven't revisited it, it is a gorgeous movie, and it is just filled with such beautiful relationships between black women. It is just, it's very special. But anywho, but that made me think of that, too, when she had that straight razor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what kind of man just thinks you can just give any old woman a straight razor to shave his beard. Like, where are you doing that at?
A man with confidence. The kind of confidence that makes you lose your fucking mind in the end, honestly.
I mean, because you was just insulting her. And, because when she tells him about the mole, he's like, well, you came to me with your claws out. You wanted power, and I gave it to you. You know, and it's basically like blaming her for not knowing that there was a mole, for not being able to fend off this takeover.
He's so annoying.
Like, he is awfully judgy for a man walking around going crazy.
Shooting
in
at
his own house.
fucking mirrors and yelling at the air. All right, guy. Yeah. I thought you were smarter than... We thought you were saner than this. We were wrong. It's okay. Everybody has their flaws. So... let's see. Oh, right. God, I love when he says something about how, I'm trying to find the spot where he says that was Ford and his misanthropic bullshit.
Oh, that's when he's talking to the ghost.
Yeah.
His ghost daughter. Yeah.
And he says something about how Ford had no control over what happened to him. And I'm like, bitch, he picked it.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? He had he knew exactly what the fuck who was standing behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
He's just so wrong. He's so wrong. What is it like?
What is it like to be that wrong?
Yes.
Yeah, it's weird that he still, William never fully understood any of what Ford was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
He never understood what Delores was even really about. You know, that's the funny thing about this character, is that William is so important as the person who basically talked the money into supporting Delos, or the park, rather, right? You know, he's the board of directors, and he's in charge, and he spent so much time at the park, and, you know, found himself there, or all of his, whatever his bullshit was. But he never really understood any of it. And they kept telling him to his face that you don't get what's happening here. You know, the maze isn't for you. Like, and he just refused to hear it.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm going to make this shit about me, whether you like it or not. God
That
damn it.
meme. Get into that comment section and you make it about you. It's just a white guy pointing at himself in the mirror. I mean, he's shooting at himself in the mirror, close enough, I guess. All right, so we go from that like moment to Charlotte coming in, telling him everything that's going on. We need you to save your fucking company. And then we cut to the opening credits, and we are. I did not think. So many things that I did not think this episode. We get some flashbacks of the house, Bernard's house. And the way that the conversation goes between him and Delores as he's like looking at the equipment, and then we come to him watching some rockets landing. It's a really, I really like these moments in the show where we get a bit of a reminder of how advanced the technology has gotten while still being recognizable. You know,
right.
We are not so far ahead that we're just like, what the fuck is that thing? But it's certainly the kind of shit that you would not see here and it not be a big fucking event when it happened. And he passes this little kid that made me think of Ford's child host.
Oh, right.
But instead he thinks about his own fake son, which I was surprised by, because I thought this kid looked just like Charlie. Or not Charlie. Ford. What was Ford's child name? Because Ford's his last name, right? What was his first name?
I
Charlie's his last name.
Can't remember.
That's gonna drive me nuts.
It really is, yeah.
But yeah, so okay, he goes back to the hotel room, the motel room, to Stubbs, who tells him basically, I really miss the murder place a lot, because this place is such absolute garbage, and I never thought that you would take me somewhere so terrible that I miss being in Murderville, and this sucks and I hate it. And I found that honestly really funny. Like, Stubbs is... I have said before how much I enjoyed his character for not really any good reason either. Do you know what I mean?
He's just, he is, throughout the show, he has felt to me like a character that does not share an agenda with anyone else that he's around, you know?
Maybe that's part of it. He feels so, like, different, like an outlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even in the first season, where, you know, we really had no idea where they were going with this character, and he was just like, you know, high-level security, I guess. Mm-hmm. And remember how he used to talk about how he didn't trust the host, and like everyone else was really buying into whatever this world was at this park. Mm-hmm. And he was just kind of like, you know what, I just work here. Yeah. I don't trust these fucking hosts, you guys in engineering or whatever you call that behavior, you know, always think you're in charge of everything, and you're not in charge of shit, you know? And he's just very much like, I just need to clock in, do my hours, you know, go home. Yep. Later, when he runs into Delores and they have the big fight, and she's just like, you know, you were never really a part of this, which is weird, because why not? Yeah. Right. But even then, he's like, look, I mean, I'm here because Bernard. I wouldn't be here if Bernard hadn't fucked my head up, you know. But he did, and I'm here. Nothing personal. Okay, let's fight.
Oh my God, and her saying likewise. That fight, that was really the moment in the gym when I got self-conscious. Because...
Can you hear them?
What?
Can you hear them? The fireworks?
No. Oh, is that happening right now?
I'm looking out my window, and it's like they're up so high in the air. I mean, like, who is shooting fireworks from their backyard that I can see miles away?
Yikes.
Ugh. Anyway.
What was this? Oh yeah, that
I'm
was.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just saying that was the point on where I got self-conscious at the gym, because the two of them start fighting. That moment where she like punches him in the throat, I almost just yelled "fuck" really loud, and I just kind of went and like caught myself.
She is selling these fight scenes, y'all.
Oh my God, 100%.
Delores, she is really, really selling these scenes. But that's a little bit down the line. So they're in the hotel. Bernard brings Stubbs a 6-pack.
Yeah.
And he grabs it like he's been waiting forever. And I'm just like, that's such a weird behavior for a host, though. Like, are you, what?
I didn't think they could get drunk.
I don't think they can either. I guess it's just, you know, comfort, just like a ritual kind of thing, a peace offering. I don't know.
Maybe they can.
I mean, they used to order drinks when they were in the park, you know, when they were at the Mariposa, and people would, like, you know, Maeve orders a sherry in this episode, even though I don't think she ever drinks it.
No, oh, can I tell? Oh. I get so irritated, you guys, in movies and TV shows where somebody places an order for something and they never touch it. And then they just get up from the table without paying and leave. And I'm just like, oh, come on, guys, don't do this. I'm sorry.
So Bernard and Stubbs are talking about what they think the next play is. And they think that she is going to try to put a host in the body of this kid, Liam.
Right.
So they don't really know what she's doing.
Yeah, they're just kind of shooting in the dark here.
You know, they're like edging around close to the truth, but they don't really, they don't really know what's happening yet.
And honestly, the assumption that they make when they realize that he is not a host is, oh, she hasn't gotten to you yet. And I'm like, guys, you got to him in a day. You absolutely cannot think that Delores is any good at her job and has not gotten to him if that's who she's after yet. Like,
the picture they have of him on the tablet, she's in that shot.
So then, guys, what do you think she's wasting her time doing here then?
I don't know.
Come on, Christ.
Yeah, but they're pretty certain that she has already changed this guy out. And that she's using him because, as far as they know, he is, one of the richest people in the world. He has all this power, and it makes sense that she would go after him, which they're right. She did go after him, but she knows that he's like insignificant.
Right.
He doesn't have any control over anything. Only thing he has of value is his money. Which, she takes care of that lickety-split.
That scene was really tense. I loved that scene. All right, we'll get there.
Yeah, well, we're almost here because we leave Bernard and Stubbs and we find Delores and Caleb soup shopping.
Yes. And he's got this fucking, GTA 5 system that he just presses a button and he's suddenly standing in the suit. And I gotta tell you guys that going out clothes shopping, getting dressed and undressed is some of the most exhausting shit. And if there was a program that you could do this and it would not just show you what this idealized version of an outfit would look like on you, but genuinely imitate the way a piece of clothing falls. What an amazing advancement that would be.
It's like the closet at the store in Animal Crossing. Where you just
my God, exactly. Do you want to wear it out? I love it.
Dolores is telling Caleb, because this is so beyond his life experience, right? Because he's poor.
Right.
And she has taken him into this fine tailor establishment. And she says to him something about he's talking about the clothes and how it's not really his style. And she says about rich people how they, they take their plumage very seriously and it's how they know each other. And I was just like, look at all that truth.
They identify one another via their plumage. And he says something later because they use money to pay for something out of somebody else's account. And he's like, won't people notice that there's money missing? And she's like, no. She says something much more complicated, the rich are so used to their money being there, they take it for granted that it will always be there.
Yep. She says that's why it's so easy to steal from them.
But honestly, it just comes down to when you have that much money, you don't notice a couple $100, a couple $1,000. You just don't, because why would you need to? I bet you're not even checking your own bank account. You have a team of fucking accountants doing that shit.
You would be amazed that people will contact us at work months later and be like, there's a $24,000 check that came out of our account 3 months ago, and we don't think it's ours, but we just noticed it today. Yeah. What? 20 grand went missing from your account and you didn't notice it for 3 months?
What is it like?
Yeah. What is it like is the motherfucking question.
Get out of here.
I can't even get over it. But yeah, girl, there's some people out there living like that. So that they finished the shopping, she is, hasn't given him the full detail of what the plan is, And Caleb doesn't even seem like he cares.
Honestly, he doesn't. That's the thing that I find the most disconcerting about him, is how few questions he asks. You know, like, and I get it to a point that he doesn't really want to know any more than he very, very has to. But, damn, dude, like, she's out here just taking people out in the fucking middle of the day.
And he's just pulling bodies along with her.
Yeah.
He asked her who we're going after, and she says, the person that took your future from you.
And he doesn't seem to, like, wonder about that. No.
No follow-up question. She says that, and then she says, but first you have to pretend to be one of them. He's not like a whip person.
Nope.
Or, you know. I mean, she told him already about the program in the last episode. Mm-hmm. So I guess we could assume that he understands what and who she means when she says this now. Mm-hmm. But I still feel like having an additional question would not have been unreasonable.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, I guess, I think that the writers want us to think that he assumes that, but it feels like so much time has passed and she told him about that it could use a little bit of clarification. You know what I mean? And we have the scene where, what's his name? What's the name of the son?
The kid is Liam.
Liam, right.
And the security guy is Connells.
Connells tells him, I need your hash code for some sort of, like, basically he tells him it's for bribes.
That's what he does. He's basically like, you let that woman in. And we lost a bunch of men because you fucked up. Mm-hmm. And so now we need some money to keep this whole thing quiet.
Right.
Which is pretty smart because Liam knows he fucked up. Mm-hmm. So he just wants to get this. He doesn't want to do this right now either. He's busy.
Yeah.
He's got a big party to get to or something.
I think that was the main thing that really irritated me, is that he has the fucking audacity, after supposedly fucking up that badly, to be like, we'll do this later, and start to just leave. Literally, it turns out he has to do is lay his finger down for a scan.
I love that he still seems to be under the misapprehension that Connells works for him.
Right?
Like, I thought we cleared that up already.
Like, this really feels like a dude who fights this fight every day. Like, everybody absolutely knows 100% that Connells does not work for him. But he, in his pride, cannot handle that. And he has to at least put up the pretense of continuing to fight it every day, even though nobody is fooled, dude.
And he keeps getting shut down so hard. Because Connells is not here for any of this kind of action.
Connells is just, I mean, this is obviously a host Connells, but, like, he's not acting all that different than the Connells we saw, so it's fine.
And Liam isn't surprised, which also tells us that this is how Connells has been getting down for a minute. He has to grip him up, and he's like, look, let me remind you how this shit works.
Yeah.
You get to flit around the world spending money that you didn't earn. No one asks anything from you. You get a bunch of hookers, and you only have to do the bare minimum shit that we ask of you. And if you think you want to be the big man and be in charge of everything, you can do that. But I don't think you can do that.
Like, you can, like, you're allowed, but, like, can you?
But are you capable of it?
I think we all know, so. And I think you know also in your heart of hearts, my friend.
And he signs that shit real quick, doesn't he?
He does.
He pulls that finger out.
Yeah, it really feels like him being like, yeah, fine, I guess. Like, admitting something there.
Yeah, he gives him this really, like, petulant look, too, when he's doing it. Like, you know, like a little kid throwing a tantrum.
There's a part of me that's like, I feel like I just want him to come to peace with the fact and dynamic of his relationship to Connells. But then there's a part of me that's like, well, if you just lay down and take it, I guess I don't respect that.
I mean, Connell says it perfectly at the end. He's like, just fucking do this so we can get back to what we do. You know?
Yeah.
Just fucking put your finger here so I can go back to my job and you can go back to your job, which is spending money and pretending you're important and begging like models.
Oh,
which
my
is
God.
not a terrible life.
He said something about how he's spending all this money on hookers. And then has the beautiful line of women whose like function in society is arguably much more valuable than yours.
Mm-hmm,
And I was like, damn right.
Yeah, that was really good. I'm glad you remembered that one. Yeah. And the party he goes to, you know, which is like not the next scene, but that's what it ends up being.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hookers for charity.
God. I mean,
But,
I guess.
I love that line too when they walk in the party and Delores is like, I thought your world would be so much different, but it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Because that's what we did. Like, you know, they built this whole park so they could go and like have hookers basically.
Mm-hmm.
And look what they're doing in the real world, like having these giant rich people parties so you could just bang hookers.
It's like
all this money for a fantasy.
Yeah, how
basically,
much
is
are
what
we
it
pouring
is.
into this, guys? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I will never stop being shocked at the amount of money that people pour into sexual gratification in one sense or another. That is just the biggest industry in the world. Just like between spending money on sex workers, which I'm not disparaging the work, that's fine. But the amount of money that people will pay is sometimes just boggles my mind. Or due to like follow a cam girl and they will just donate so much money to these women who they do not know them. You know, like this isn't a personal relationship even like you would have with a sex worker that you see in person.
Right.
But you are giving her money for just being here.
I think that's the thing too, right? Is that it becomes so much more, or just not about the sex, you know, It becomes about all these other things that can be really complicated.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, granted, sometimes it really is just sexual gratification. You know, that's really all you're looking for, and that's fine. But also, you have, you know, people who, for whatever reasons, don't feel fulfilled in their air quotes regular relationships, right? So you have to find these other kind of outlets to have relationships where you can be a little bit more authentic.
Mm-hmm.
This thing that's going on in this episode is a very particular kind of thing, and it looks to me like this particular thing is about the display of wealth. Which feels like completely separate from any kind of like actual sexual gratification or just wanting to like bang a really pretty woman. This feels like it's all tied up in like, you know, oh, I can afford to buy this one or buy that one, which is a different thing. I don't want to get too murky out of my lane, you know, but that feels like something that's a little bit different than what we would consider like normal, not normal, but more pedestrian ways that people not even just vanilla though, but just like, you know, the idea of seeking out sex work as a way to get comfort or gratification based on the interaction with the particular person versus I can walk into a room and buy whoever I want. And that is the feeling that makes me feel good. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for how it feels because I can just buy whoever.
Well, I guess that's part of a power trip that often happens in sex as well. So it's probably linked to that in some ways at times.
And it's funny because when she says the thing about how she thinks our world would be so much different, we saw so much of that in the park.
Right.
Right? it's so wild to me that if this is the real world and this is what you can do, I guess you're coming to the park because you can't just rape and beat up these women at these parties.
One would assume not. I don't know.
One would assume. I would really hope not. I mean, everybody is dressed so nicely. She said like that means a fucking thing. But yeah, like, where do you go when you have so much money that even this is not enough for you anymore, right? Because the park was like super expensive. So I guess if you could afford to go to WestWorld, you could probably afford to go to one of these parties.
I would assume so, yeah.
Right? But these parties don't even do it for you anymore. You know? You gotta... Yeah. Anyway. But before we get to the party, Delores and Caleb are walking up to the bank.
Oh my God, yeah.
Which I don't even know if it's not really a bank.
Yeah, it's weird because he says like they don't go to a normal bank. But they walk in there and he said, "I thought you said we were going to a bank," and she says, "This is a bank." And I'm just like, what does he think it is? Like, what is it called? What does the sign outside say? When
they show up, the guy that checks the ID initially says welcome, and he says a name, but it doesn't say bank. He says welcome to the. Is it the Continental? Not Continental.
The Continental's from John Wick. That's the name of the hotel chain.
But yeah, so they walk up to the building, and she bum rushes this guy, this poor guy, and she takes out some blood. And this is a question I have, and maybe I missed it. So she takes the blood out of him, inserts it into Caleb so that he can pass the verification, right?
Right.
But every tablet that we've seen so far, we don't see the tablet that either of these two bank employees use. But literally every other thing we've seen has a person's face next to their ID.
I appreciate you bringing that up because I was absolutely flabbergasted that they do not have a photo identification system.
Right? And I thought, like, I went back to try to watch. I was like, did she explain that there's no photo? Did I just miss that?
The only explanation that I could come up with is that kind of, like, facial recognition surveillance would be compromising to their clients. And so they wouldn't put that in a database that could potentially be exposed somehow.
Okay, I like that. It's so like exclusive, you know, and so high end that, and so
we don't
discreet.
need photos. We literally will take your blood. Like,
yeah, okay,
you know,
that seems short-sighted though.
It's like it's sort of a bit of a fan wank on my part. If that was really the thing, I would appreciate it being mentioned.
Yeah.
That's how it's set up, because otherwise, it really does just kind of feel like an oversight to me.
And I thought, like, it seemed like Caleb is the person who is not familiar with this world. Mm-hmm. I would have thought he would have been like, well, what are we going to do about my face, though?
Yeah, true.
And then give the show a chance to explain to us, the audience, you know. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's a kind of, when you've set up the level of technology that they have in this world, to overlook that in the dialogue completely just feels like you're being a little lazy.
And again, the only reason I bring it up is because we have seen so many people look at a tablet, you know, mm-hmm. and be identified and have their face show up, you know, immediately. And so, you know what I mean? It's hard for me to imagine that wouldn't be a thing.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely.
But if I missed it, guys, if it is a throwaway line that I just missed, you know, let me know. It's fine. Yeah. I mean, don't be shitty about it.
Keep that shit to yourself.
But you can let me know.
You can let me know. Be nice. Fuck.
So while they are accosting this poor guy and stealing his blood,
that sounds so
happening.
Insane, but that's literally
it.
That's, nobody really says that about vampires, but that is just all that's happening with them, too.
Just the concept of stealing blood?
Yeah, they're just trying to steal blood. Get your own blood. Go buy some. God, got a job.
Bunch of entitled vampires. Just stealing blood.
Guys, I'm sorry, I'm a little punchy.
We both are. Mm-hmm. It's been just like a weird time to be alive. It's not super late, but a girl is real tired. It's hot as fuck, y'all, in my house. I don't have air conditioning. I don't understand how I'm still so fat when I sweat as much as I do. I really don't understand it.
God.
So we cut to Maeve and Sirach in a very, very fancy pants kind of lounge bar situation. Mm-hmm. In Singapore, we find out. This place is nice as fuck, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah, we get some information about Paris.
Yeah. This is
what
a bummer.
The fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. It is no more. And from his little flashback, it looks like, a nuclear explosion of some kind. I don't know if it was like a bomb or, an accident. But it is gone. Because Maeve was like, if you wanted to impress me, you would have taken me to Paris. Mm-hmm. And he is like, that's just not there no more.
The look that he gets on his face when she says that. This guy, his acting is just so good. He says there's nothing left to see. Like you, I know what it is to see a world disappear in the blink of an eye. And then we see the flashback of him and what looks like his brother. And they're being waved over to a waiting van that is covered with like biohazard symbols. And then we see him looking out over at this mushroom cloud and all of this like fire that's kind of going on.
It looks.
I'm assuming that he was not in the center because he's rich, and so they live in the suburbs. Probably.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Like they are far enough out of town to where they are like not in some kind of immediate danger, or they at least have time to get to safety, but close enough that they can see the carnage that is happening there. And when he's telling her about it, he looks just, like you said, he looks heartbroken.
Yeah.
And then he starts to use this experience of his of seeing a place he loved decimated by I'm assuming man, because that's what he goes into. He talks about how man's worst enemy is man. Like he thought the host would be the enemy, but really it's not. And that is what led him to develop this technology with his brother to take some of the control out of the hands of man, because it can't be trusted to make right decisions. Which history kind of says we can't be trusted to make the right decision. We can't,
but we build in those problems into software, too.
Yeah, I'm not going to say I think that that's the way to go.
I just think it's funny to be like, oh, well, what we'll do is we'll build the perfect system. Like, if we fucking knew what that was in the first place, come on. That's but, we all have to have our delusions, I guess.
We all think that, like, we can create stuff that is outside of ourselves that won't have our own baggage, our own biases, or whatever. Like, that stuff transfers into what it is you're creating. And even when you don't want it to, so I don't know how you build a perfect system that does not have your same human flaws. It's like, look what Ford and Arnold, and they tried to build the park and build the host, and it still had the host ended up having sort of like their same flaws.
Yep, exactly. Can't get away from it. Can't get away from yourself. Can't do it. You will follow yourself wherever you go.
And whatever you build will be a reflection of yourself as well. In summary, don't try.
Yeah, just don't bother trying. It's fine. And this is an interesting thing because it really changes clearly what Maeve thought she was up against here. This dude's recollection really lends a lot of credence to his argument that he isn't he doesn't see it as us versus you. He sees it as, I need you to help me get control of our situation, and what you get in return is you do not have to deal with any of this anymore because you will be out of here. Which is a pretty fucking compelling argument.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
he's telling her, because he's talking about where the Valley Beyond, right? Where her daughter went, where everyone went, and how she can't get there. That door is closed forever. And he says, actually it's not. Delores has the key. I need it to get to the data, but you can use it, to get to the other side. And it seems really not altruistic, because he has his own agenda, but it seems like a generous offer, right? And then things turn very sinister.
Yeah.
For a second, you're like, well, maybe the Surratt guy's not so bad.
And then he's basically like, or I could literally turn you off. Or, keep you, in a mental prison. And, I mean, I thought that we had already reached a point that was pretty compelling that she would have agreed to. But then you throw this out there, and now I'm sort of like, well, if I had been gonna help, I don't know if I would now. I would start doubting whether or not I had the right of things.
I would have liked it if it had just been enough. And she would have been like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do this because I do want to go there.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. And there's no, threat, overshadowing everything.
Agreed, because I feel like we know that he has the ability to do that. We've already seen him press pause on her. So,
I mean, she just wakes up in this fucking bar. We don't see him bring her, which to me, I think is very funny, because he has to tell her to come online when they're at the table. But, how'd y'all get in there, though? You just...
Maybe he has, a standby mode that obeys certain
be.
commands that are very basic.
Yeah, it's gotta be something like that.
But, yeah, I did sort of think of him, just literally carrying her in over his shoulder. And, one of the new people on staff starts to, walk over and be like, what the fuck? But they get stopped by all the older staff members who, know him. And they're like, oh, don't. No, he does this. He's got, just don't even ask. Just let him do it. Whatever. We've seen this a million times. So then they cut to Bernard's place, and his explanation that, they believe that Delores stole several pearls, and that she has made other copies. She made herself over again. And that she has obviously made some other people because she needed allies. Evidently, she didn't choose you, is what he says.
Yeah, that's kind of mean. And then they have this guy here.
Yeah. This is fucked up.
Yeah, it really was.
Really fucked up. It's a really good bit of writing when nothing violent is happening, but you're still wincing and very, like, upset. Because they have this just set of glasses they put on him, and that's it. Like, we don't see him getting beaten here.
Yeah, like, he's all banged up. Like, he's clearly, somebody has been, like, there's this guy lurking in the corner that has clearly been, like, you know, giving him the business, you know. But I guess it's not enough. You know, so this guy is not giving up the information. He is like, I'm not going to talk. You can torture me if you want to. And that's when he puts his glasses on him. And it takes like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he says to him, Serac says, I know you. I know exactly what it'll take.
Because he has this fucking software. I hate it.
When he's having dinner, when they're still at the restaurant, he's telling Maeve that, like, you know, how hard him and his brother worked on this machine to, you know, get all this information, and then realizing that what they were missing, right, was the map of, like, the human mind, right? Like, how do we think? What are the choices that we make, and, like, what are our motivations? And discovering that information was available, and of all the places, it was in a fucking amusement park,
right?
Theme park, you know. So that information, coupled with what he already has in, have you decided how you want to say it yet? Rehoboam?
The program. We can call it the
program. You know, once he gets that, I mean, what kind of world would this be?
I mean, we have only ever seen the program be correct, right? We're working on an assumption that the program is always correct, that it is that perfect. Is it, though? You know, like, because nothing is right all the time. I don't care how accurate something is. It can be very close to 100%. It's never going to be 100%. And what does that translate to? Like, if it is correct most of the time, will that make the world better? Will it be easier to function in a society that, like, kind of, like...
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But I could see some people taking a huge amount of comfort in that. Versus us who, like, are horrified by it.
I guess it's like if you look at the Caleb character and how... when she talked to him about how it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, the program has decided that you are not worth a lot of investment because it thinks you're going to end up as nothing, right? A suicide or whatever. But then, once you make that determination, you don't invest anything, and sure enough, the person ends up in those dire straits. Which, you know, isn't that far of a cry from how things kind of go now. You know, and it's not as restrictive. You know, we still have more opportunities and more choice. But a lot of our lives are controlled by what some sort of nebulous thing has decided. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when you, I remember being in, like, junior high or maybe, like, 9th grade, and a teacher was explaining about actuaries.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And I was horrified. I really, you guys, I felt, I was so upset. I was practically in tears. The idea that someone could just decide based on, the neighborhood you were born in, whether your parents were married or divorced, what race you were, what sex you were, put up a couple programs, a couple formulas, and spit out what they think you are capable of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being just like devastated by this information. And because I didn't really have a lot of context for how it was used, the information was kind of a throwaway, sort of like to shock the class, I guess, which was well done, because that's what fucking shocked me. But yeah, like, how they decide how much your car insurance is going to be.
Yeah.
And you think it's just going to be based on your driver's record. Turns out that is not true for a lot of car insurance companies.
Yep.
They take into account all kinds of shit. Are you single? Are you married? Where do you live? Do you own or do you rent? College degree or not? It's crazy.
I'm seeing this as being like something that could be utilized to put off the hashtag not all men. Where then they're like, well, from an actuarial standpoint, this and this are true, so that's why I'm not giving you my number. More than likely, according to my algorithm, you're bad news. So thank you, but no.
I counted the beans, and the beans say.
So yeah, this dude here is being tortured because he's like the person who last spoke to Delores before she went out into the world, evidently. Mm-hmm. And the motivation they use is a pair of glasses that shows him his family being tortured and killed, I assume.
Yeah, they don't show us, but whatever it is, it's not good.
And he is really freaked out by it. And like once they take those glasses off him, and it takes like probably a minute, and they take the glasses off, and he has immediately turned around and been like, all right, I'll tell you literally anything. I felt a little bad because he like tells them, and then Sirach shoots him, and like I was like, well, yeah, but the dude seemed like surprised that he was being shot, and I was like, come on, man.
How do you think this is going to end?
Yeah, like, you can't think that you're going to tell him and they're going to let you go back out now. Like, right. But the deal you made is, I will tell you, and in exchange, after you kill me, you will not also kill my family. That's the deal that you made.
That was the deal, yeah.
Yep.
So he's telling Maeve, you need to go get Delores. I need this key, or I'm going to just lock you back up. Mm-hmm. He tells her that she has the additional pearls. So she has, 5 more of her kind that are out here. And she's got a place to start, which is the information that this guy gives up.
Oh my God, I forgot he says also he was a traitor to his kind as well after he shoots him. Because this dude helped Delores.
Right.
That's
because she says something like to him like, "Isn't he part of your tribe?" Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, life comes at you fast.
It really does, because I'm like, this guy has no idea what Delores is about. What she's doing. That doesn't seem fair to call him a traitor. Right.
And I thought I forgot to say that Maeve asks Sirach, when the guy is looking through these glasses, you would go after his fucking kids? And the dude says, I would never hurt them, but the world is a cruel place. Mm-hmm. So it sounds almost like that I assumed that's us going after your kids. But what he is saying is, if you aren't around to protect them, this is what will happen to them. Mm-hmm. Which is sort of worse in a way.
Well, he's definitely not around to protect them now.
I mean, yeah, that you said that this is what'll happen if you don't tell. So he lied. Oh my God, he lied. This guy lied.
Maybe.
Well, that's just not nice. I mean, you can shoot a man in the head, but be honest about why you're doing it at least. Christ. All right. Well, moving on.
So we cut real quick to Hale and William again, and it's not very long. And then we go back to Caleb and Delores heading into the bank in his nice new suit. And he's worried. Caleb is worried, like, what happens if the plan doesn't work? Mm-hmm. And she's just like, well, then we just do it the old-fashioned way.
Oh, my God.
The place is called Centennial, not Continental.
Centennial. Well, I could see that. That's close.
And so, yeah, he does the little thing. You get a close-up of the tablet that he's verifying his ID with. Mm-hmm. And then, once again, no pictures. And he goes in, and it's all very sleek.
Yeah.
And, impressive looking, and does not look like a bank.
I would love a breakdown, if anybody listening knows of one, of what in this show is completely digital and what is partially digital, built over something that is actually extant. Because there are a lot of moments where the skyline or a particular building, it feels so like it's really occupying the space it's in, to a point where I'm like, there has to be a building here in this spot that they were like looking at and did something like, that's all I can think. But then I'm like, I don't know that this entire city block isn't digital. I'm acting like they just did something to the building that the scene takes place in, but there's no reason to think that necessarily. So I would love if anybody has further information on that, because I think that's the design of this stuff is just so convincing in terms of it feeling like the future, but not so much that it seems like a cartoon or, like
it feels like, you could walk in someplace and find a room that looks like this, or really close to this.
Yeah.
And that seems to carry over in just about every scene we've been in this season where they're out in this like new world.
Yeah.
We talked about that before, how like this moment where she's at her desk and she's working on her little computer, it looks very much like when you walk into, like a lot of our banks now, we have like the little customer service area, not that's separate from the teller line, where you sit down at the desk and you open up your account. But then you look at her screen, and her screen is just glass.
Right.
And you get like and then you get like that quick moment, that quick shot of the screen she's working on. Then you're like, oh wait, no, we're in the future.
Yeah. Because that glass, that's a thing in so many things, but I feel like, I don't know, they make it work in this in a way that it doesn't work in other stuff I've seen.
I feel like I could sit on her desk and log into that computer, and it would be weird, but I could get my work done. Yeah. But what they're doing here is they are robbing Liam blind.
Yes.
So this was a whole thing to get access to Liam's account. They take every penny.
I can't get over the fact that they do that. Like, I thought she would take most of it. I thought she'd take 98% of it. I never thought they would literally take it all, which is hilarious.
And the woman is like, with this amount of money coming out, it's going to be a bitch for your taxes. And Caleb just leans in to the role of someone who has to remind her that you're just a worker bee. It's not your job to ask us what we're doing. If he wants his money, that's his fucking business, And it's funny because, like, just a minute ago, he was feeling all weird about trying suits on, But he I guess learns the lessons that Delores is trying to tell him about how it's really all about appearance and how you carry yourself.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting that, like, he looks at her for a second after this woman says something about the taxes. He looks at Delores like he is wanting her to give a signal or something. And she sort of, like, looks down at her hands because we know that she's got a gun and is like low-key prepping a little bit, especially once it looks like his blood isn't going to work. And I think that for her, this is a bit of a test, you know? She's wanting to see how does he do when it's time to actually play a role and not just do what he's told.
Right.
And well, I'll be damned. He does quite well, sir.
Yeah, he just leans right back into that. I'm a white male. You don't get to ask me questions.
And she sits back and is like, apologies, I didn't intend to be indiscreet. To which I'm like, well, I don't know what you did intend, but it's a mess. Do better. I'm sure that these people who make more money than God are aware of tax problems. Like, they're aware of shit we haven't even heard of yet, because they have to be in order to stay obscenely wealthy.
Yeah. It was very much just sort of like, check yourself and get right back into your lane, please.
You're not my advisor. I didn't ask
and
your
it's
opinion.
funny, too, because he's not even in this role as the person whose money it is. He's also just like a broker or, you know, whatever.
Right.
Financial rep, you know?
Yes.
He's there on behalf of Liam, supposedly. So he's like a step and a half above this woman behind the desk. That's it.
Yeah,
but
there's almost a feeling of like, I'm sorry, I sure as fuck didn't ask him any questions when he told me what to do. I don't know why you think you get to. I don't know. It's a whole good vibe. I thought he did real well here. Proud of you, Caleb.
So they have to do the second verification, and it gets a little dicey, but they pull it off.
I got so nervous, you guys.
It was tense. It was real tense. And then we cut to Maeve. Oh my God. And she is, you know, following up on this lead. And she runs into just the douchiest of douchey dudes outside of this fucking club that, like, are immediately threatening to rape her and put her to work as a sex worker of some kind. And it's so gross. So gross. And then she chops that one in the neck, and I was like, okay, I'm back.
That was another moment where I almost yelled, fuck. It was when she jams the gun, or she doesn't jam the gun down his pants. She grabs it because it's already in his waistband because he's an idiot. And then he says, I only have a number. And she says, well, I suggest you call it, and then pulls the trigger anyway for no good reason except because fuck you. And
I feel like it was a pretty good reason.
I mean, I'm not saying... I said no good reason except fuck you.
Okay.
I covered my bases there, I think. But yeah, it's a really good... It was a shock.
So...
Don't keep your guns in your waist pants.
Like, and then he showed it to her. Which, I mean, I guess.
That's our reaction to dick pics also, guys. Is to go, I mean, I guess.
Like, first of all, don't show it to me, but if you're gonna. Yeah. And she's looking for, what is she called? The mortician?
The mortician.
Is that right? So she shoots this guy. As far as I'm concerned, she shoots him right in the dick. I don't know if that's true.
I'm happy about it.
It's probably a leg shot.
Yeah, let's go with that. That's fine. I like it.
And then we see him getting rushed into the mortician on like a gurney.
Again, so satisfying. Fuck this guy. He's like crying and screaming. Get over yourself.
I love the face. Maeve makes when she shoots him. He drops and she just like rolls her eyes. She's just like, this motherfucker.
She is tired of him.
She is. She's just so like, I just need to get this fucking done so I can get out of this goddamn world and not have to worry about none of this bullshit. So they roll in to a clearly illegal situation. You know, there's bodies on gurneys. There's bodies hanging up by chains wrapped in cellophane. Did you see that?
I did not see that. Damn. Hold on. Let me get to that spot.
I don't know what's going on. It's when they first
Oh,
when
yeah, okay. So I got to the
Okay.
spot when they're
Yeah.
coming in. And the guy's eating noodles. I forgot he's just hanging out in this room of bodies eating noodles. No, I don't see anybody hanging. I see, like, the couple of cadavers here.
Right after the guy, let's see, the gunshot.
She asks her
they
if
go-
she's a police officer. No need to call names.
It's when the camera first goes in, it's a close up of her digging something out of a body,
Mm-hmm.
and then the camera pulls back and looks at her through a glass window, and there are two bodies hanging by chains with like cellophane wrapped around their midsection.
Yikes.
And
Oh,
then
I
I
missed
mean,
it.
not really a lot going on after that. It just moves past that. That's just something that's happening. So she is asking about Delores, and this woman knows who she's talking about, and gives her the name of the alias that she, got for Delores and the blood samples and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And Maeve is like, and what about the others? And the woman is like,
Yeah.
She only got the one identity, but she did want bodies, but I don't do that. So I had to send her to the Yakuza.
Yeah. So what is that?
What you mean?
I'm
like wondering.
Because she goes to see the Yakuza, and it turns out that one of the Yakuza is Delores, right? He was a Yakuza.
That is, yeah. That is, what's his face? From the second season.
Right. Shogun World.
Yes.
I don't remember his character name, though.
I can't either. And
Was he supposed to be like the Wyatt of Shogun World?
he was the Hector of Shogun World.
He was? Okay.
He was the Hector, yeah.
So, I'm not sure why Delores wants bodies, because she has a body maker that she uses. And we have, is she building an army? And if she is, why does she need human bodies? Is she just trying to, make as much of a variety as she can, and she needs, a model to work off of? That doesn't feel super efficient. I just feel like you could just, I don't know, assemble some design elements and have them randomized and then just build your people. I just don't understand, and if she's trying to get bodies and she was sent to the Yakuza for that, what is the Delores bot?
Which Delores bot?
The Hector, Japanese Hector.
Gotcha.
What's his name?
Okay. I can't remember his name. I keep wanting to call him.
What is he still doing there? Because obviously they've got fucking barrels of flesh milk, and they're doing something. But how much does the Yakuza actually know about this, and how much of this is his being outside of anything that anybody will ever tell him no, because he's Yakuza, and people maybe just don't know what the fuck is going on.
Right. I think that I'm not sure if it makes sense that the same body, the same person that was in the Shogun World is somehow infiltrated into the Yakuza, right? Because he doesn't exist outside the park.
Right. I don't understand, because she didn't take multiple pearls. She just took herself, copies of herself, right? Is the way that it's said later?
Well, if you mean different pearls of different hosts, right? No, all the pearls are her.
Right. But could she take host designs with her and builds, like, or is the Shogun World based on a real person? Would they just do that? That doesn't sound right. I don't feel like they'd get sued all to hell.
Yeah, I don't know if that's right. Well, before she meets up with him, though, we go back to the sex party, which is what I'm going to call it, the sex charity party.
That is so undignified.
And Liam, this girl, by the way, this friend of his that we met a couple episodes ago, she is in this white dress, and it is crazy good. It's like cut so low down her back. The clothes in this whole scene, actually, a lot of the clothes in this scene are pretty fucking stunning.
I love his friend saying, because he says, I'm not into fucking whores. And he says, all sex is commerce. If you don't know that, you're just being billed indirectly. Which is honestly a pretty great line.
I love, too, where he's being all high and mighty and then, like, stops dead in his tracks when he sees yet another blonde woman. And the guy's like, oh, you really do have a type.
I mean, she, like, is so close to Delores. It's crazy. And she's got this, like, weird high ruffed jacket on and no pants.
Well, did you see the guy who's got no clothes on, but it's like a ruffle, like a rough collar and like something on his arms?
There is something so funny about a woman Porky Pigging it. A dude doing that is also hilarious, but there's something weird about a woman because I'm so used to our bottoms being covered, but our tops not. That whenever I see a woman that's experiencing the opposite, I'm just kind of like, wait, what's the... Wait a minute. This doesn't make any sense. What's going on?
His friend, the guy's name is Roderick. I can't remember what the girl's name is. They also offer Liam some kind of drug called genre.
Right. Oh my God. And the one girl takes it and it's just like, God damn. A little bit later when she sees the fight, it's just so good.
So, Delores and Caleb are here, Connells is here, and Bernard and Stubbs are here. And poor Bernard and Stubbs. They think they're here to rescue Liam, who has just found out that he's broke, because he's trying to buy this Delores look-alike. And he's realizing he's got no money. And he runs off in a huff. And Bernard and Stubbs sideline him, and Connells lets Delores know that they're here, but they're here earlier than they expected. So she's been waiting for them to show up and get in the game.
They are so predicting just the way the thing is predicting. There's so much predicting happening. I don't know where it ends.
It's like a lot of people are really behaving in a way that is almost predetermined. You know? Like, everyone is just, I hate to say it, but like on their loop, right?
Super predictable.
They're doing exactly what is expected of them. So they strong arm Liam out. Bernard is like using his little clicker thing, and it doesn't not doing anything.
I swear
this guy's
to God,
not a fucking host.
So embarrassing. That was like the moment in so many like different like 90s and early 2000s movies where it's amusing that somebody who doesn't know how remotes work tries to mute a person in the room with them, but he sees motor functions, and the dude looks at him like, "Fuck yourself." I would love to just go up to somebody and just yell, "Seesaw motor functions," and see what their reaction is, because I imagine it has to be something close to this.
I bet they fucking seesaw motor functions if you're yelling at them.
You know what? You're right. That actually might be pretty effective. I take it back.
Probably just like,
well, damn.
Like, well, shit, I better stop moving.
God.
So then Delores shows up, and there's this awesome fight, and this woman, the friend, is walking with this black woman. Oh, She's sickening. So
yeah.
pretty. They really do get, like, the most gorgeous people to be in this show. Honest to God. And we have this killer fucking fight.
It's so good.
It is so good, right?
I just love, like, the fight scenes in this show, I can't tell what, is it just that they have rehearsed a million times? Do they just come up with something that's some sort of creative? Is it because the actors are excellent and they really sell that they have been fucking hit?
I think it's that a lot.
I just, man, the whole thing, and I think too because it's Stubbs and I really like Stubbs, so I'm very invested because I want Delores to win because I just want to see what happens when Delores does what she's like trying to do. But I like Stubbs and I don't want him to lose. So I got very invested because I couldn't really decide who I wanted to come out on top at this particular juncture. And then she, like, just straight up tosses him over the fucking balcony.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, like...
Our poor guy.
Yeah.
Well, he's fine. You know, he's fine.
And if he's a host, what happened? Like, this is not a body you can hide. This is a body that is going to be taken up by the, emergency services and brought to a morgue. And they are going to have to find the port in his arm, right? Like, I just keep picturing a Bones episode where you just, like... this dude fell off a balcony and is smashed to smithereens, but he's got a fucking electronic device embedded in his body. Like,
Delores was in that ambulance and they were trying to save her life and they didn't figure out she was the fucking host.
Yeah, but they didn't get to a place where they were cutting her open.
That's true.
That's true. You perform an autopsy on this guy. Maybe they're just going to be like, cause of death, falling off a balcony, and they don't do an autopsy. What do I know? Seems pretty self-evident, I guess.
I wonder if at this type of party, the whole thing just gets covered up.
And
this is a very decadent kind of, high roller debauchery happening.
True.
And they don't want the police and the EMTs rolling all up around. Everybody's all high and shit. No one's calling the cops first.
Oh my God! And I love she walks by his friend, and she just taps her temple.
Remember in the early episode, they are out.
Oh, and he says it's all simulation.
And she talks about the little party of our brain that made us believe in God or whatever. And she points to her temple.
That's funny. I love it especially because Liam said she was dead, apparently. That's what he told them all. Mm-hmm.
They're all like, he's supposed to be grieving for this woman. Yeah. So then Maeve fucking Delores walks out like a boss. She doesn't even run.
No.
She just walks out.
She can't do that. That attracts attention.
She just strolls on out like she didn't just throw a man over a balcony.
And nobody's trying to stop anybody.
It seems like the fight doesn't last long, but it's pretty intense, and there are people around. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, no one is, like, running and screaming, for cover or...
Right.
Really much of anything. I guess everybody is maybe too high or too wrapped up in whatever it is they're doing, or they think it's all part of the thing. I don't know. They scream when Delores starts shooting, because the first thing she does is she shoots at them.
Yeah,
before she starts fighting. And then I think she shoots at them. She sends Caleb out after Liam and Bernard, and she stays to fight Stubbs.
Okay.
Right? So they leave, she stays and fights, and then she goes out after them. And then after the fight scene, we go back to Maeve on her way to meet this man, the new boss. So what the woman is saying is, this guy, to answer your question, who we know from the park, is new in town.
Right.
And he just rolled up and managed to just be the fuck in charge now. He came with his men and killed anybody who wanted to be in the way.
Right.
So that's Delores. That's how Delores, in that body, ends up in that position of power.
That is so bonkers. I mean, it's just kind of like discouraging to realize that the kind of tactics that worked during the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages, which is just literally kill all competition, are still work like a fucking charm.
The most effective way to accomplish anything.
Yeah, no matter how far along we think we have gotten in terms of like being a civilization, we are still out here just killing our way to the top. And that's just a fucking thing. And I thought we were better than this, and I was so wrong.
We are not.
We are not at all.
So Maeve shows up, and it's like 8 goons, and for some reason they all have these mechanical sort of computer-controlled rifles, machine guns that they're wearing like gloves. And I guess it's so that, what did she call them? Self-aiming or something?
Yeah.
And this is a bad move because, they're computerized. She can just fucking do whatever she wants to do.
It's amazing. Like, we didn't really talk about when she's first left on the street to walk herself and how she's just bringing down all of this computer equipment as she walks past every booth.
Yeah.
But that is a hell of a fucking power trip. And then
that was a really nice shot, too.
It was really
with her
well
walking
done.
with everything like exploding behind her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was dope.
So yeah, when she walks into this and she can just take control of their weapons, like they've got these little like submachine guns and shit. It is a real like,
yeah.
I mean, I won't say it's as good, but it's almost as good as when she gets everybody to fight each other when they're in Shogun World. It's in Shogun World that happens, right? I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's a good moment.
So it cuts from Maeve doing that to William coming out to meet Charlotte to go to this imaginary board meeting. And this is when he says the thing that you didn't like. I never fell apart.
Bitch, I don't know what world you live in, but no matter where you think you are, you're still delusional, which is really something. All right.
This moment, this reveal.
So good.
When she's talking to him, man, what did you think? I'm going to be quiet now. You tell me what you thought for the rest of the episode. Because there's not really much about what's happening. It's what did you think when you were seeing all this stuff happening?
Well, she starts, like, they're not even at the vehicle yet. And she's like, you figure out who I am yet? I know you better than anybody. Do you remember by any chance somebody saying something like that to you at some point? Does that sound familiar or ring any bells? And I'm like, what is she doing this here for? Like, all I could think was, we're not in the car. What are you doing? These are his people. And even if they had been his people, it turns out they're not. But even had they been, it still, I suspect, would have ended the same way anyway. But he has like a whole thing with his daughter before they like step out the door.
That's my favorite part because he's having this moment where he's like, I'm back in control now. You're my penance and that's fine. But I'm not going to be, like, running from you anymore. We're not doing this. And she's just like, I'll always be here. I have plenty of patience. You taught me that. He is really feeling like I'm back in charge. I got my black suit on. I'm in my armor. I'm not scared of you anymore. You can't torment me anymore. I'm about to go do this business deal because I'm Mr. Business Guy. and he has this final moment, this showdown with his ghost, and walks out triumphant from it, only to really fall hard.
I cannot deal with I'm about to do this business meeting because I'm Mr. Business. I don't know why that got me so bad, but that is hilarious to me. But yeah, this sure. How did you convince her? Dropping this bomb that she knows that he's been talking to his daughter, and of course he just assumes this is run of the mill spying somehow.
Right.
And you know, she's like, "Oh, I don't need to be spying. I know all about you." And then he begins to really lose it. And this is all happening at the same time as Maeve is finding out that this dude is also Delores. So, you know, she's talking to him, and I'm starting to be like, oh, shit, yep, it's Delores, isn't it? It is. But just as she's, like, convincing him of that, she says, how does it feel to know that some of your delusions are real? And just walks past him, and you can see him looking spooked as hell. Really, like, and his reaction, of course, to being terrified out of his fucking wits is to then attack her.
Rage.
Yeah. I will tear you apart piece by piece. And as soon as he does this, I'm like, oh, she is getting everything, isn't she? This is all, oh no. And sure enough, she steps out of the way and goes, please help me, he's insane. And I was like, oh, bitch. Oh, this is so good. I love it. It's not his fault. He's sick.
I'm okay. Don't hurt him. I'm okay.
So good.
And it's cutting back to Maeve. And, I can't remember. They're calling him Sato in this episode, but I can't remember what his name was from season 2.
Oh, that's right. I forgot they said Sato, because that's a character in Legend of Korra that I'm watching right now, who's also like a big muckety muck.
Oh, a muckety muck.
Yeah.
Damn it, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm so distracted because I can't think of his name. But it goes to like a bit of a gunfight at this place. What did you call them? Milk flesh barrels?
A barrel of flesh milk. Because this stuff looks really similar to something that was in a Doctor Who episode that I recently covered. That was called The Flesh.
It looks like the stuff that they used in the park.
Oh yeah, well that's what I assumed it was.
Oh,
so
okay.
like I'm over here thinking like that, like there's some production of bodies happening here. I am assuming, like, is Delores just making a fucking army of Doloreses? Why not?
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, good luck, everybody. If that's what she's doing. Musashi. Okay.
His name just came up.
I feel like we had a ton of trouble remembering his name out of everyone's during the second season too.
I think that is correct.
It was like, it wasn't that it was a Japanese name. We remember the other Japanese character names better. For him, it was like really hard for some reason. I don't remember why. But yeah, I don't know. I all I can think is that this is some sort of like headquarters facility for making whatever it is they actually use to build the hosts. Because I mean, that has to be produced somewhere, and there's nothing, no rule saying that it has to be on premises. So
yeah, and like she can't, if she's looking for numbers, she can't just be doing it all in the little Bernard house,
right?
You know? So then it cuts from that back to the alley outside of the party, where we catch up with Bernard and Liam, and Connell shows up, and Liam thinks he's being saved.
Can we just talk about how precious it is that Liam still doesn't get it? Like, he is out here clueless as a goddamn infant. I don't know how he has gotten through life. Like,
Because he was rich.
I mean, I guess
had
that's
to do
all it
anything.
takes. Yeah, I guess
Right?
that's it.
He never had to take care of himself. He never had to do anything. This is exactly what you get. Liam is what you get.
Tragic.
So Connells is like, first Connells kills the other security guards.
Mm-hmm.
Tells Liam to run. Has to tell him, run before I shoot you in your pointy little head.
Oh my god.
And then
because Liam's initial reaction, thank God, Connells, what took you so long? Like,
like, how is he so behind?
I just hate him. I hate him so much. Get out of here.
And he tells Caleb to go after Liam so that he can have a moment with Bernard.
Mm-hmm.
Bernard is trying desperately to put the pieces together. And it's painful to watch.
Oh my god. I feel so bad for Bernard, y'all. Like, everybody's in a shit position. Even Delores is in a shit position. Granted, she's got way more power. But it feels like she has been taken advantage of so long before getting to this point that I still have a lot of sympathy for the situation and the choices that she's making, and I don't even necessarily think she's wrong a lot of the time. But Bernard is such a pawn. It feels like to everybody, like, I feel like she's sort of setting him up here and, like, predicting, oh yeah, Bernard, I brought him out here and stuck him in this situation where everybody thinks he's a fucking, like, massacreist. Is that a word?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
And, what is it like to walk around and, like, people think that of you? She at least has the freedom of being unknown except for those who have run into her in this world, which she's rapidly cutting their lives short, so they're not a factor too much anymore.
Like, she's let Bernard, she brought him back, let him go, basically, but has really put him behind the 8 ball,
Yeah.
So he's at such a disadvantage. She's out here stealing trillions of dollars from, rich assholes, and Bernard is in, like, this shitty Motel 6, trying to just hold it all together. And we know that she allowed Bernard to even be a part of all this because she says, we all have a role to play. And Bernard's role is to sort of be my foil, right? So she's like, yeah, I understand that has to be, but that doesn't mean I have to make it easy for her.
Yeah. Can't we all just get along?
No, we cannot.
Apparently not.
And then we cut back to Maeve and Musashi, and she is first, like, she's so stunned to see him in the first place. And then he starts talking to her, and he's accusing her of abandoning them.
Which was really weird. I don't remember how that went, but I didn't remember it that way. How did it go?
Well, it did not go that way. It went, I think, the way that Maeve says, which is like, this is not true. That's not what happened. You didn't, when they were in Shogun Land and they, finally, were on their way out, he chose to stay behind.
Right.
And he's now trying to play like, oh, you didn't give us a choice. You didn't give any of us a choice. And she's just like, that's not true. That's not how it happened.
And how would Delores know? Is she just saying shit because she thinks that's how it went? And is trying to, like, mess with her? Or...
I think that this is Delores not understanding what it was like with Maeve, because I don't know if Delores understands how different her and Maeve really are and how they operate, right? Like, when you think about all through the second season when Delores and the whole Wyatt storyline, and she was, amassing her army, and her allies, she did all of that by force, to the point that she altered Teddy.
Right.
And Maeve didn't do any of that.
She didn't try to make anybody get on board.
Yeah, the people that came to be on her side did it, I don't know, I don't want to say because it was the right thing to do, but they did it, it was a choice.
Right.
It was a choice. And so, I don't think that, I think Delores is, I don't want to say projecting, because I don't know if hosts can project, but,
I think they can.
But yeah, it feels like she is talking to Maeve as though Maeve behaved the same way she did.
That's interesting.
And that's when Maeve starts to realize that it's not really him.
Yeah, I really liked that. That she doesn't know him super well, but she knows enough that she's like, hold on a second. I don't think so. This isn't right. And then they fight and she gets fucking skewered.
Yeah.
I'm mad about it. I'm really hoping that there's like some fixing her, because it turns out she was being tracked. So, what's his face? Sirach's people are coming real quick. And I would assume she is implanted into a body he created from a program. I'm hoping that, like, just make a new body. And that's...
Just pop her into a new one?
Yeah, but I would lie if I try to act like I have no concerns about it. I don't know how much, in terms of resources in that department, he's got. It's really easy at Delores to just build a new body. I mean, and I say easy in quotes because you can do it, but it takes a lot of time. Or you can just fix a body. And I don't know if he has that kind of tech here or not to do what they did in terms of just sealing her back up, Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see.
Because
I do like...
Am I wrong about in season 1 that she has like a gunshot scar, and that's part of what tips her off, is that there's a scar from something she doesn't remember?
Yes.
So they can fix her pretty well at Delores, but there isn't always no evidence. I mean...
There was alright, let me see. At one point, she has a scar that she doesn't remember. And then the scar is gone, but she remembers having been shot. And she digs and digs and digs. And then she finds something.
Oh, somebody left a bullet in her. That's right. That's right. That's right. So that was somebody's mistake. That wasn't really like the access to tech. It was just somebody being careless.
Sloppy.
Yeah. All right. Motion retracted.
And so then Liam is like practically a cartoon character at this point. Is scurrying down the street. Caleb catches up with him, and first he's like, I'll pay you whatever you want. And Caleb is like, really? Word? Because I already got all your money.
Oh my God. With what?
And then he says, who are you? And he says, I'm with her. And ta-da!
Hillary Clinton jumped out. That's our show, everyone. Thanks for coming. I'll see you next week. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I love when I really make you laugh when it's not that funny. Like, I know that wasn't that funny.
Listen, that was really funny. What are you talking
that
about?
funny. It just got you for some reason.
Your commitment to it is what got me. I'm a sucker for commitment to the bed. I always have been. Oh, boy. So, I think is that how it ends with her looking all good, showing up like, mm-hmm.
I'm trying to
She says, hello, lover.
Oh, that's right.
Like, yeah, you tried to have me killed, you raggedy ass motherfucker. Surprise, not dead.
Oh, no.
You know why?
It ends with William in his little padded cell.
Right.
A very gourmet version of a padded cell.
Do we have any sympathy for William?
I don't.
Okay, I just wanted to check in with you on that.
There's a part of me that does, only because I honestly think there is something wrong with him. Like, who out there gets off on doing the shit that he did at the park the way that he does? So, but the thing is, there are people who are genuinely mentally ill. And then there are people that I think are more like this, where he, like, learned to like it. It's not like he was born with something missing, like a psychopath has no conscience or, like, doesn't understand empathy or something like that. We saw him as a sympathetic person who did care a little bit too much to enjoy himself.
He tried to act like that was never the real him.
Right, and I don't really buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if it wasn't, I don't get how you fake that kind of discomfort over and over again. It seemed like it was getting in the way of him living his life a little bit and getting ahead, according to Logan. Is that his friend's name?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, it seemed like it would have been all to his advantage to behave more like Logan. And if he could have just turned that on and off like a switch, if this wasn't really him, why wouldn't he have just done that? I don't know. I don't really understand. Like, it's sort of this weird moment in the show where he, like, gets so enraged over the way that they handle Delores that he then snaps. And all of a sudden that seems to, like, lead him to realize something about himself that he didn't know was there. But that's a little bit unconvincing to me in retrospect. I don't know.
This whole conversation he has in his, it's weird, he's wearing this glove on that one hand again, too, while he's in this place. I cannot remember what is wrong with his hand.
Yeah, I feel like it's, like, fake or something.
I can't remember.
I don't know, guys. Let me know. Whatever. It's fine.
But he's having this conversation with Delores from, like, Park Delores, you know, in her prairie dress. And she's telling him, like, this is it. This is basically where you are always going to end up. She calls it the center of his maze.
I really like that a lot.
I did too. And she tells him that this was Emily's dying wish for him. That he would rot alone.
Damn.
And she says, she makes him ask the question, you know.
Yep.
And he just says, am I me? And she says, welcome to the end of the game.
She doesn't answer his question.
She does not.
And, like, am I me?
And apparently
is also
she's not there.
Right, that also.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell anymore, though.
Yeah.
Is this a simulation, too?
I will say real quick, I want to note that when she's in with, I forgot his name already.
William?
Masashi?
Oh, Musashi.
Right when Maeve is on the floor and he's about to, looks like he's about to chop the back of her head off. Mm-hmm. But then they run out of time.
Yes.
Was he going for the perm?
I assume so, right? Which, like, I mean, that's not necessarily there.
Yeah.
Because we don't know that she functions the same way a park host does. We're under the assumption for the most part, but we don't really have proof of that, do we?
No, well, we saw her see her pearl in the first episode when she's in WestWorld.
Right.
And so I think that it's fair to assume that the Maeve pearl from the park is what is in this Maeve body. So maybe he was going to take it so that she wouldn't be a problem for them again later.
Because Delores has copies of herself. Syrah could have copies of Maeve.
That's fair point. That is a very fair point.
That'd be very confusing.
So, this is episode 4 of an 8-episode season. So, do you want to...
No.
Nope. Okay.
Good talk.
All right, then.
Thanks, everybody.
Guess we're done. Till next week.
Yeah, I genuinely... I have no idea. It just seems like there are so many possibilities here that we haven't even started to look at in terms of what is possible. If you just aren't interested in doing what a park does, which is like keeping up a variety and having only certain characters, certain places, if that's not something that you need to worry about, you can do anything you want. And so there is too much potential for me to keep track of. And like Bernard says to Caleb, "Are you one of us?" And Caleb says, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about." And I'm like, will you? Like, I don't know if she ever plans on letting Caleb in on the secret. If Caleb will find out on his own, I don't know how he could or would. And would Caleb, like... I don't even know how he would react. I honestly don't, because part of me wants to be like, he's over here being like, you're the first real thing that's happened to me. And so my instinct is that he would be so furious if he found out that she isn't who he thought. But then another part of me is like, I don't actually know that at all. He could be kind of fatalist and just be like, well, whatever, I threw in with you and I'm here now and let's just fucking do this, whatever.
Right.
You know?
Right. Because what else did I have going on?
Yeah, exactly. And like, I have a hard time seeing Caleb making much of an argument for the human race. He doesn't seem like he's that invested in the fate of the world.
He was feeling like, he was really floundering and drifting, and she has come out of nowhere and given him a chance to be a part of something that he doesn't even have a bunch of questions about. And a purpose that, really feels like was lacking for him. Because, let's be fair and reasonable. He just met her, and the way he met her should have been enough to be like, you know what?
I'm gonna back away from this.
Right?
Yeah.
But he just, he just leaned in. And, so yeah, I'm curious to see your reaction, and if you think his reaction is reasonable or not.
Yeah, I just I could see him being like, "Oh, can you kind of put me in a new body and give me like superpowers? Because I'll just totally join up with y'all if that's cool with you." I don't think many of us would be averse to that if we felt like we had it under pretty good authority. We could still pretty much be who we are, just an improved version. I think a lot of us would go for that option.
Yeah, I think that would be the biggest fear too. People would be like, because you would have to trust that I'm going to come out the other side and still be who I am.
Yeah.
And the kind of power you have to give over to someone else. Yeah. All right then.
Wow, there it is. Yeah, I got nothing. I hope that you guys have been enjoying the coverage, though. I think this has been a fun show so far. And I am just but that's my biggest concern is how Caleb reacts to all this, because I'm like weirdly protective of him. I don't know him super well, like not remotely as well as every other character we've met almost, except Sirach. But I just feel like, you know, he's a fucking working stiff who's being screwed over by the system. He's very relatable.
Very relatable.
And also, I really have to say how much I appreciate the patience of the show, because Caleb's been, you know, set up as who he is in the first episode. He doesn't actually, like, get involved with Delores until the third episode, because the second one we spend almost entirely with Maeve, I think. Mm-hmm. And so we're in the fourth episode now as he's finally really throwing in with her. And a lot of shows would have him be in the very first episode. They would have the whole setup for him being sort of disenfranchised and her approaching him and him jumping on board within the first episode of the season, because they just want to get it rolling. And while I really, really understand the impulse and feeling like you don't want your audience to be bored, and so you want to lean on the gas a little bit, I think giving him room to breathe and be his own character for at least one full episode and part of a second episode makes all the difference in how much I give a shit about him. Beside the fact that he's played by what's-his-face, who I've grown to like as an actor. But even outside of that, you know, like, I don't know. I think that you can really rush this sort of thing. And a lot of times when I don't even realize that's my problem with it. When I'm watching something and it's not super satisfying and I'm like, they're giving me all the pieces. Why doesn't this work for me? And I think that's what it often is that it just feels rushed. And you run into sort of a catch-22 where, yeah, okay, you don't want to rush it, but also, are you a good enough show to slow down and still do this well? Right. Because not everybody can really pull that off either. So, like, you've got to, like, take a real risk and gamble whether or not the story is compelling enough to stick with, and whether or not the writing is good enough for that stretched out to still, like, feel like it needed to be, like it was for a reason and not just because we took forever to get to the fucking point. Anyway, I always love seeing things done well, but then when I try and really get down to why it's done well, it can be so hard for me to really figure it out and, like, with any confidence give a reason why. And that's the part that I am somebody who would eventually like to finish writing a series, and paying attention to what works and why is part of knowing where to start with your own stuff. Mm-hmm. And when I run up against shit and I don't know why, it's very worrisome to me, because that to me is evidence that whatever I write will not be good, because I don't know how to tell. Do you know what I mean? It's like looking at somebody's makeup and they look flawless, and you cannot figure out what it is you're doing wrong. You know it does not look like that when you're done. But as far as you can tell when you follow the video, you're making the same movements. You're using the same... Why isn't it working?
That's true.
You know?
That's true. Why doesn't mine look like that?
And it's just kind of like you have to know so intimately and intricately what works and why, that it can be overwhelming. Just getting to that point of, like, understanding, oh, that's why that works. That's a big battle. That's, like, I would say, like, 5/6 of it, to use a very awkward measurement.
I was gonna say... My brain hit that 5/6 and just went...
Anyway, all right, guys. Well, thank you all so much for listening. I really hope that you've been enjoying it. Make sure to leave a review on iTunes if you can. If you'd like to become a patron, Go to patreon.com/unspoiled. Rashawn and I have recently hit 100% for our Song of Ice and Fire fundraiser. So I'm very excited because we are going to be starting that. We'll be taking a brief interlude after this is over, before we start Song of Ice and Fire, in order to cover a movie that we've been commissioned to do. And then after that, we'll be starting Song of Ice and Fire. So, yeah, I'm just really stoked about it. I was like...
Yeah, it should be fun.
I was pretty sure we were going to reach our goal, but I was like, starting to be kind of like, well, I don't know, maybe not. And I'm looking forward to a very different Unspoiled experience now, because this is going to be so different and strange. So, yeah, patreon.com/unspoiled if you would like to listen to the Mistborn show, which has been going really well. And facebook.com/unspoiledpod, Twitter at Unspoiled Show, Instagram at Unspoiled Podcast, unspoiledpodcast.com. And you can go to unspoiledpodcast.com in order to find the episodes of The Legend of Korra, which I've started covering after finishing Avatar: The Last Airbender. That is a fundraiser show that I'm doing to help pay for my wedding. And it's $1 per episode. It's very cheap. And there is one a week. And we finished Avatar and moved on to The Legend of Korra, which so far we're both actually liking better than Avatar. But, it's early days yet. And
have you finished Avatar?
Yeah, we finished it.
Okay, I have a meme I'm going to send you then. Okay.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it's been really fun to cover something that's so different, and to do a show with Owen, which is something that we have tried. We've done successfully a couple times, but it's sort of like we got away from it for a minute because his schedule is so insane. And we've actually managed to do this one pretty consistently, and I wasn't sure if it would work out, so that's nice. So yeah, patreon.com/unspoiled, unspoiledpodcast.com, and we will be seeing you all next week with a new episode. So until then, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.